In the 1872 Canadian federal election, the incumbent Prime Minister, Conservative leader John A. Macdonald faced much more significant opposition to his election than he had faced 5 years earlier. Like the first election, it was spread out over a long period of time, this time over a period of almost 3 months, from July the 20th to October the 12th, 1872. Narrowly, the Conservatives and Liberal Conservatives prevailed with 100 seats out of 200, and 38.7% of the vote, or about 123,000 votes. The Liberals, who again had only an unofficial leader, this time Edward Blake, received about 111,000 votes, or 34.7% of the total, and 95 seats. Canada was then evolving into the two-party or two-party dominant system. The voter turnout was 70.3%, and again, only the men who owned property or had an income above a certain level of dollars were allowed to vote. The men who were considered too poor, and the women, and of course those men who were not Canadian citizens or subjects of the British Empire, were denied the right to vote. Out of the Conservatives, 36 elected members were Liberal Conservatives. 1 independent was elected. 2 independent Conservatives were elected. 2 independent Liberals were elected, and 1 Conservative Labour member was elected. John A. Macdonald was able to remain Prime Minister until the so-called Pacific Scandal forced him to resign in November 1873. A telegram had surfaced, according to which he was asking for another $10,000 from the Canadian Pacific Railway Company's chairman, if I remember correctly, and this forced him to resign. And he was replaced by another Scottish-Canadian politician, Alexander Mackenzie, who had become the Canadian Liberal Party's leader by that time.